Hey folks, welcome back to Let's Play Jade Cocoon. I'm your host CPC Gamer, and in our last episode, we completed the game. So, you might be wondering what I'm going to do in this episode. You know, assuming you didn't pay attention to the 4 times when I said, there is a post-game during the main playthrough.
I see the future.
Though, if I'm honest, I'd be a little upset if my pet management RPG didn't include a post-game. Because you spend so much time and effort just raising your pets, it would be a shame for the game to go, all done, bye-bye, and blip, it's finished. Now, as far as post-games go, it is weirdly bitonal. But on the one hand, they've put a lot of time and effort into it. On the other hand, they've cut a lot of corners. But it's certainly not Pokemon Gold levels of bonus content, that's for sure. And you are a big snowman liar, Guy. This is not the time of conclusion at all. I am most familiar with this part of the game, and it keeps going and going and going forever. Although having said that, I don't remember anything about this intro, so this is a nice surprise. They didn't have to do this bit at all. Oh, and that's an unfair question. There's no end to the Endless Forest. That's why it's called the Endless Forest. See also Endless Ocean, Infinite Undiscovery, Eternal Sonata, The Never-Ending Story. There's plenty of them. Never-Ending Nightmares? And I'm not entirely sure why I need to enter my name again. You can just as easily read it from the existing save file. Nice little touch though, if a little video gamey.
May the winds of good fortune.
Which is a ridiculous complaint to level against a video game. And I don't know why I went for it, but there it is. Now, in the main playthrough, I talked about how I recognize this music. It's because this is the only tune that plays while you're in the temple. I mean, it's not as memorable as the Spider Forest, for example, but it's one that I've heard enough to remember it when I hear it. It's a bit like my superhero ability to accurately predict the past. 2020 hindsight is a pretty lame superpower, I tell you what. I wonder why we're seeing these introductions again. You have to have completed the game to get this far, and these guys are introduced as soon as you get to the temple, so what the heck? I think Moo missed her mark with that one. We're headed screen left, not right, as she has indicated. But that's okay, because teenage me would forgive her for it. You know, boys will laugh at girls when they're not funny and all that. Man, we listened to so much punk music when I was in Canada, and it struck me as funny how, out of all this non-conformist music, the vast majority of it is in common meter. That's 4-chord song, for the people who aren't aware. Anyways, we're in the same place we were when the game ended. All of our guys are still here, with the same stats as before, and we still have a Firefly to purify, apparently. Now, I am going to show off the new forest, but before I do that, I'm going to show off something that I didn't do in the main playthrough. I mean, there wasn't much of a reason to go here before, but now there is, so let's go. While you're here, Moo serves as the item and weapon shop. And she's mostly useful for healing items, but now you're in the post-game, her selection of goods has opened right up. Now specifically, I'm going to take a look at her supply of weaponry. So in the post-game, Moo has every weapon that we found during the main game. Oh, and she also has this guy, apparently. This is something that the poacher can randomly drop when you beat him. It's really slow, though. Alright, what else do we have? Ooh, the Lifestealer's here. Nice work. Oh, and so is Nightglow! Cool. So, these last few guys are exclusive to the post-game. And I don't use them because I usually have the Dragon Crest sword by this point. And it's the toughest weapon in the game. Except for this one. Icicle is a fantastic weapon that always reduces an enemy's HP to 1. Now, you can't kill anything with it, but it is really useful for getting through the upcoming forest. I mean, I don't remember Nightglow or Lifestealer ever being in that list, so it looks like Moo does sell the random drop equipment, but only once you found it in the field. Seems like a pretty handy way of getting stuff back that you either sold or swapped out. Also, I'm not going to show off Ra's chamber, because it's just the same as when we went there during the main game, except they turned off the animation timing on her model, so she snaps back and forth like a broken robot. It's kinda creepy. Anyways, time to get to the post-game. 5 minutes in. And I always liked that animation, with the light zipping across. Like, I always saw it as the light going from one end of the tunnel to the other, to form a door at the other end. Ooh, this is a rare spawn. So, the post-game is an endless corridor made out of 5 or 6 pre-renders, and usually each section of the forest focuses on a different element, as evidenced by red, blue, green, or yellow colour filter on the screen. This is a neutral colour, so we're going to be seeing a mixture of minions. And the point of the forest is to fill out as much of the monster list as you can, since virtually every minion can spawn in the forest. Now, there are 2 or 3 minions that straight up never spawn here or anywhere else, so you can't collect them, but this is the only place where you can collect the vast majority of minions in the game. I mean, plot-wise, there's no point to this. All the important stuff happened in the main game, and we finished that in the last episode. This is just here to get some levels and improve your minions. Although I say that, this forest is where the game's sequel takes place. Like, in the far, far distant future, Levant has taken over the running of the temple, along with Mu and Ra, and the 3 of them have tamed the Eternal Forest, splitting it into its individual earth, fire, wind, and water versions, and they open it to the public as basically a hunting ground or a safari area. Also, I'm going to catch this guy. And I'm going to give his skin to Lynod. Stat changes be damned. Now, the game sequel is kind of sad because it basically plays like a single-player MMO. Like, the game levels up as you do. There are requests to bring back certain minions or 3 key items as side quests. It's kind of lackluster compared to what we had here, you know? And it's weird, because the sequel was made by the same team. They even had the same guys from Studio Ghibli doing the character design and some of the animations. And it's really good character design too. Adult Levant looks amazing. He's just detached and aloof and better than you. Which he is, let's be honest. He's the guy who saved the world and you're just some kid. But it doesn't make for an engaging character. Especially when you're used to him being more emotional, like in the first game. And I think the monster design is kind of goofy too. It feels more like My Pet Monster than the demon taming that you have in this game. Also, the new characters aren't great. And there's an annoying fairy sidekick like in that one game where everybody loved her. You know what it is? It feels like the sequel is the Saturday morning cartoon version of this game. And I think that shows when you look at the age ratings. Because this game is BBFC 12, and the sequel is ELSPA Certificate 3. Or in American, this game is T for teen, the sequel is E for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with E-certificate games, they can be pretty fun, but it feels like backing down to drop the rating like that. Alright, give me a second. Nice! So yeah, the sequel to this game is not fantastic. I own it, and I got right to the very end, but I never finished it. Like, I just fell out of love with it and went on to play probably one of the Silent Hills? I don't know, it just didn't pack the punch that this game did, and it left me wanting. Something else that the Endless Forest is really good for, most of the minions have the Great Walnut in their common or rare drop slots, so you can rack up your HP pretty handily. Oh, and speaking of, did you see that sinister number on Crowley? That was super spoopy. Oh, really, game? This is how you act now. I'm going to come to show you off to... Alright, never mind that then. Boss time! After a random number of screens, you reach the end of each section in the Endless Forest, and you have to fight a boss monster before you can continue. There are 8 of them, and they each have their own elements, behaviors, and tactics. And they cycle, so you always fight this guy first, the next guy second, and so on and so on. Now, as you've seen, you can't capture them, although you can hack them into your team if you have a Game Shark or similar device. I mean, I'm pretty sure that the boss monsters scale with the minions as well, so it'll never be a one-sided fight. Again, unless you cheat and you give them, or yourself, amazing stats. Primarily, these guys are a way of grinding down your health and mana to make the next section more challenging, or to waste your healing items. But they also have a secondary function, which I hope that I can show off. So here we go. Oh, I can! Nice! Alright, that is a special item that is... well, it's the skin of the boss monster that we just fought. And we can do something pretty special with that when we get back to the temple. But for now, we'll go through the doorway and into the next section of the forest. Now, if you open up your menu, on the top left, you can see what portion of the forest you're in. I mean, I don't know how high it goes. I only got to level 10 or something like that when I was younger. Also, it looks like another super rare element spawn. I swear, this is not supposed to happen. And I'm going to fight this guy because we've... Fugger! Okay, if you want to go with that name, you go with that name, Jade Cocoon. I'm going to try and catch this guy without damaging him. Because I've heard you can do it, but I want to try it out. It's like using an Ultra Ball on a low-level Pokemon. This will in no way anger the adult version of this monster. Seriously, it won't, because that mechanic doesn't exist in this game. Can you imagine? Also, what the heck? It looks like I was wrong in whatever episode it was when I talked about not being able to catch minions without weakening them. You just have to have an absurd level advantage. Oh, and that's a good camera spin. I love it when that happens. Now, I'm hoping to be able to show off a very specific minion in this run. It's going to be hard, because it's a rare one, but I guess I will just keep playing until it shows up. I mean, that's the other big thing with the Endless Corridor. It's full of minions that only show up in the post-game. And adding another layer of obfuscation, there is another entire family of minions that don't show up at all until you've beaten the last boss of this sequence. It's a little chameleon-looking thing with popped eyes and a curly tail. It's pretty great. Like, not as cute as the Nautilus things that do the ballet slap fights, but it's still pretty cool. And I'm gonna go this way, see if there's another monster. Oh, poor Skarunga. Nobody likes your style. Although I might as well leave this one in, because I've got Crowley, and we've already beaten the game. We're just doing wheelies at this point. Now, given the technical limitations of the game, you will only find, I think, 2 or 3 minion types in each section. In this case, the green dragons and the yellow dragons. And we've done pretty well with the spawns, because with the way that I keep my minions with single elements, you are almost guaranteed to come into areas where you don't have the advantage, and they are really hard to clear. Though with that said, the corridor sections have a random element each time, but the bosses are always the same elements, so you're guaranteed to find something that will have an advantage over you. Or at least you will with the way that I play the game. I suppose you could do well enough if you mixed up your elements a little bit, but what are you going to do? Not be the very best like no one ever was? What will that attitude get you? Like, what was the name of the second man on the moon? Because everyone knows the first guy. Gregory Moon, his name was, and he invented aeronautics. Ooh. And we interrupt this entirely accurate history lesson to present to you a brand new monster. Oh, on that topic, the Japanese version of the game had a bit more of an incentive to get to the Eternal Corridor, because it had 2 unique minion families, rather than the 1 found in the English version. Because in Japan, there were 4 minions that looked like they were in blackface, and you found them flying around the Moth Forest. And in the UK and US versions, they were replaced with those weird flappy bug things, which were only found in the Eternal Forest in the Japanese version of the game. It was like the Grey Children from Silent Hill getting replaced with Mumblers in the UK. Except it doesn't make the game impossibly difficult right out the gate. And if I were in charge of the censorship, like, ideally I'd change the skin of the models so they were still humanoid fairies, but take away the Jim Crow aesthetic. but if I had to change the models, I'd just change the pointers. So the fight data would not say load model 1, it would say load model 2. Now sadly, I haven't poked around inside the game's code, so I don't know what they did, and I don't have a model viewer, so I can't check out whether the fairies are still on the disc. And it's unfortunate that I can't be any more in depth than that, but that's how it goes. And yeah, this is how the Eternal Corridor goes. The rest of the game is this. Forever. Now, excuse me for a moment, I'm going to drop into this fight, catch one of these guys, and I'll see you back in the temple when we're done, so I can show off something cool. See you in a bit, everybody. You may recall, I said that you can collect the boss skins once you beat them. Well, Ra lets you use them when you come to merge your minions. That's why I caught 2 of these guys, just to show a standard minion model. Now 2 of the dragon guys look like this. Isn't that cute? That's pretty cute. But if you ask to use a minion skin, Paluja in this case, because that's the only one that I have, look, it's a little panda dragon! It's amazing! Now, there's no point to doing this, beyond aesthetics, it's just something fun to do. And now I'm going to go back to the forest, so see you later! It's a lot later than before, but this is what I was hoping to show off. These guys have the best model in the game, and I'm kinda sad that I didn't go up against them when they became available in the main game. Oh, and I guess this guy isn't going to show off his walking animation. These guys have a great walking animation that's just like a spider. It has a very slow and deliberate step. Also, yeah, I bought the camouflage armor. It's got some really good stats, and I always feel justified in buying new armor over weapons, because all the best weapons in this game are found and not bought. Except for the icicle. Anyways, this is just a bit of bonus footage, because I really wanted to show off these guys during the main playthrough, but getting them is a huge gamble for a lackluster reward. I mean, I mostly like using them because they have some of the best animations in the game. Like, specifically, they have this 6-legged dropkick thing that's just great to look at. Also, I recovered a veritable top hat of mana through defending in my last turn. Sure would have been great to know I could do that 16 videos ago. But let's not complain, because I beat the game. On camera. And people were watching. And I'm going to catch this guy, because I guess he's not going to show off his dropkick animation. He will show the animation where he turns into a little UFO as I catch him. Look, he curls up just like a real spider would. That is adorably terrifying. Oh, he doesn't like it though. I'm gonna have to do that again, because I will not let that kind of disrespect stand in my victory lap. No, sir. Although I'm going to weaken you a bit first. Like, at the very least, it'll give you something to think about in your last moments. Something like, maybe I shouldn't have refused to let that guy catch me. And do you remember what I said about tripping up the enemy AI? He could have put a dent in my health, but since I'm not turning to stone, he figured he'd give that a go. So let's see if this works, how about? And I like how I'm just as into the game now as I was however many hours ago when I first started playing. Like, that's the mark of a good game, I think. The fact that you can keep going and going and going, and you'll still feel the thrill of playing it. Although with that said, this marks the end of the gameplay videos for Jade Cocoon. I hope you've enjoyed the series thus far, and continuing to enjoy whatever it is that I continue to do in the future. So join me next time for something else, and until next time, goodbye!